Good evening and welcome back to Valley Black Talk Radio here on 88.1 FM KFCF. And welcome back to our special election edition.
I wish it was. Yeah.
The news is addicting. June 2nd, 2014. We are giving you that information before the primaries tomorrow that you must go out and vote. And Mel, you were going to tell us some information, your insight.
You know, that was 3 minutes ago.
You already forgot.
Maybe if it didn't just happen, I don't know.
You got to get Eric on. You got to muzzle.
Go ahead. I got him back. Go ahead, Eric.
There's no representation from the African American community.
You know. Oh, yeah, at the union level. Yeah.
Right.
You know, I was trying to get a word in, but then I saw Cato back there, and he had his headset on, so I wanted to make sure his headset was off and mine was on. So
he's coming on the inside. And to let people know who's in the studio, my name is Dudley Najieb, along with Mel Sanders. Cato has just blessed our presence, along with Jewell Riversmith, and of course our special guest, Eric Payne.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, so now we've been talking about the district attorney's race, the board of supervisors. Now, I know that there are some listeners maybe out there in Selma that are watching the Judy Case seat.
Right, yeah.
That's true.
That's interesting.
So that's also going to be a really interesting race to watch and see what the end result. You have Buddy Mendez,
the established school board member for 20 years out at Riverdale.
Riverdale, yes.
So the establishment has backed him. Is that who the?
Yes, I believe Judy Case.
Oh,
you have Daniel Parra, and the Pereas have also endorsed Daniel. And he's the mayor of Fowler, or city council mayor. And then you have Magdalena Gomez, who is backed by the unions.
Why are you stumped like that?
Well, because I'm wondering, you need to consolidate as much behind a single candidate that you believe is going to be able to support your interests as possible. And when you have two candidates, and I would presume, based on who's supporting them, pretty much have the same. We'll be looking at the same agenda in terms of how they're going to be voting in the future, and to not have, to have that too. Man, it's going to be a runoff there.
Yeah, and Magdalena has actually garnered the party endorsement.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Democratic Party endorsement.
Wow.
So it's going to be an interesting.
It is going to be an interesting fall.
Watch and see.
Yes.
Tomorrow. And with those two seats, with Phil Larson's seat and Judy Case's seat, that could be a significant transition of power on that board.
Yeah, so, tremendous.
Yeah.
And for me, it's difficult for me to support. Who endorses you, I guess, means a lot in terms of what people think about you and what. And I understand that Mr. Pacheco is a Democrat and all of that, but man, when I look at the endorsement and one key endorsement in particular, it just definitely just turns me off. I mean, I have no interest in supporting somebody that's supported by a guy that has no commitment or concern for my community. When he was in the office for the last 8 years or whatever, he just clearly demonstrated he had no concern or care about black folks. I'm gonna be blank about it. And so for him to me, that's a kiss of death. I mean, I would have, if I was Pacheco, I would have said, man, look, why don't you just write a letter, but make it in small print, because
why don't you just write a check?
Yeah, that would make it a better one. But no, I listened to him, and I'm offended about my friend. The comments that have been made about my friend. He's a fiscal conservative, and he's good for farming, and that's what you looked at.
Yeah,
his agenda was all about farming when he was there. So for you to tell me that this guy's going to be more the same, well, hey. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Cato. I didn't mean to have your mic off, man.
That's why he hasn't been able. He's been quiet.
Some of us like it like that.
Now, just tell me, Mr. Payne, what kind of car you driving? So I know what kind of tires are cut.
There he goes.
So you didn't hear it from me.
You got to watch out for this one right here.
I appreciate you, Mr. Sanders, because
and so it begins.
I'm hiding from the police, and you gonna call my name out.
Oh, you and me both.
Man.
Well, I think the other race that in terms of local politics, are the city council seats.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Which one you want to talk about first?
I have on my.
I know you want to talk about District 3, but we also got to make sure we talk about District 1, which has one of the largest candidates.
Yes,
scope.
yes. I think there are like close to 7.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Running for,
It is quite a bit.
As many of you may or may not know, Blong Zhang has reached his term limits in city council, and so his constituency base is
it's up for grabs.
Yeah, is up for grabs in the Tower District, and all the way up to Shields. And so now you have a lot of folks who've come out for this open seat. You have one of my candidate favorites, which is Esmeralda Soria.
Yes, she's canvassing that neighborhood. I've got about I get 3-4 things from her a week.
Yeah.
I'm never home. But at least you say, "Hi, Julia. Sorry we missed you."
Yeah.
And she's got a lot of backing.
Yeah.
For her.
Yeah. I mean, she has the Payne endorsement. I mean,
she
what
does.
else? What else do you need in life?
Oh gosh. Is that a hint? By the way.
No. You also have Kerry Catalano.
He's endorsed by the Fresno Bee.
Yeah. You see that on his sign.
I don't know how that matters to me though, because when I look at myself, I say, okay, because you're endorsed by the Fresno Bee, does that give it more validity? Does that give more value? I mean, should Valley Black Talk Radio start endorsing?
The Fresno Bee endorsement is a really big endorsement in this community.
It is for the community of voters, but I'm looking at the people that look like me.
Yeah.
Is it would that help to sway my opinion? For me, not necessarily.
That's a very good question that you just asked in passing there, though. As a voter, I look at who the people or the organizations that I care about and that I trust are endorsing. And you just said, should VBT be endorsing? There is a regular listener base to VBT, and that would probably be a helpful thing, something we need to think about for the future.
Right.
Maybe to the people who want to go to the website, to the people who care.
Right. And then I have to look at the political analysts for Fresno Bee, and you have to know their backgrounds. And some of them are very conservative. So you have to, Cato, you want to say something. You can say something. We want to make sure you're in on this as well. And now we got the shaking of the fingers. And talking also about District 1, you have Rebecca Rangel. Is that how you say it?
Yes, Rebecca. Rebecca is, she is one of the other...
she was the one that was responsible for getting, I want to say, the independent police auditor. That's what she's known for, and that's what they put out there a lot about her.
Right.
She's got a very regal spirit. She's one of the, I'd say, kind of upfront.
Right.
Very upfront and personal. Right. Take it or leave it.
Right.
That's how she is. I like that about her.
She impressed me when she was at the, a while back. There was a candidate forum at FCC, and she really impressed me.
Right.
Yeah, she can capture an audience.
Yes, she can. She's good at that.
And I think she's definitely grassroots in her approach. And she's out there. She's a progressive.
Yeah, very progressive. Lawrence Cano. Now, when I listened to him, and he seemed to have a good heart.
Who is this?
Lawrence Cano.
Okay.
Kind of a no-name, but at least he was out there canvassing the neighborhood, and he just said, yeah, I'm just a blue-collar worker. I want to make these type of changes. He talked about some of the different issues, which are, this is my district. That's why I know so much about each of these candidates.
Lawrence hasn't been to any of the candidate forums.
He just came to the one in, as far as the one that we had at the Hinton Center, the Bawaba.
Okay.
But it wasn't, he really didn't have enough issues or anything that was relative as far as for the African-American issues that they were asking. That's what I mean. I wish that forum could have been more jarring. We needed more information on these candidates by exposing them with different issues, exposing district-wide, within that district, things that are coming. I think that's where you find out how they're going to respond. That's important.
I think there are definitely some people in this race that have potential, that are young, and this is a good experience for them. Mark Castro is also running for that seat.
Yeah, he is.
And I think
he was very young, very innovative, and
he's a lawyer. He's it's just, I think he has a lot of growth and development.
And growth and development also means being able to relate to your community. I'd say that's the only fault that I see with Mark And I really think he has a potential. And
yeah.
he is working towards that. What I liked, Rama Dawar, I met him a few times, a businessman. Great businessman, but I still need to see that community relation because some people just want that seat to help push them to the next.
Rama sits on, he's a former planning commissioner for the city of Fresno. I don't know if any of you knew that, but he does that. He has a small business, and he's out there. He's working too. To get that vote.
Yeah, he
is.
You see, he didn't come by my door though.
His campaign lit.
Just say it.
See, that's the thing. It's so important.
I can tell you came by my door.
Wait. You know what deters people from coming to your door? Sometimes is if they see that you have a lawn sign of another candidate already in your yard.
I don't have a lawn sign in my yard at all.
I think they ought to be abolished. What is the point of them? Yeah, I mean, okay, you might want your neighbors to know who you represent, but just like this is not a good analogy. So I'm sorry to all the candidates, but just like how we have to have our garbage cans in by a certain, if your garbage day is on Wednesday, by Thursday morning, your cans need to be. Those signs are everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean,
they are everywhere.
They're everywhere. And what do but show a person's name?
Yeah,
but that's kind of important.
Yeah,
you know why?
They try and give you the name ID.
It's influential. Yeah. Like I'll just say on my block, it's mostly Esmeralda signs.
And so,
and the lawns.
And so sometimes with the signs, you have voters who will vote solely based on what your sign looks like.
My neighbors will do that. They say, "Oh, who are you voting for?" And they'll see that sign in that person's yard, and all of them have it. They do it.
Yeah.
They don't look at the background.
I really think how the pranksters. Especially the political pranksters. I think I'm just going to make me some lawn signs next year and ask people to put them on their lawn. They say, what are you running for? I just say, to lose weight.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going around passing out my name because I like to see it on people's lawns.
One thing that I will say in this race that has gotten really ugly is people have been destroying other folks' lawn signs.
Yeah, that's
you see the graffiti. You see like the last name of an endorser cut off the sign.
Oh, guess what we saw it was happening?
What's that?
It was between Egan and Smith Camp, and the guy's looking at me. He's got his truck full of all these Egan signs. He was taking them all down and putting hers up.
Oh,
wow. Oh my gosh, that's dirty. That is so dirty.
Yeah,
what did I say? God don't like ugly.
I know.
Yeah.
And I just shook my head. He said, "Shh." I shook his head.
Well, now we know that
he goes. You see that? He want to make sure you got a liquor.
He's growing boy.
Yeah, for those of you who couldn't see, there's some other politics taking place in the studio. I just took a red vine from Julia.
Yes, politics. Wait till the break happens. We shall see what the last one in District 1 is Jackson Shepherd. Don't know much about Jackson Shepherd.
Oh, but I like two last names.
That is Jackson and Shepherd.
I like that.
That can be a good thing or a very bad thing.
I think I'll vote for him because of his name.
Oh, jeez.
People do that.
I'm just kidding.
But
folks.
people do that.
I know. That's why I need to. I'm just kidding.
But at least, like I said, that's going to be a good race. You do have some very capable, candidates, such as Kerry Catalano. He's got some pull, and so does Esmeralda, though.
Has he knocked on your door?
Yes, he left me a personal message as well.
Oh, wow. He left you a personal message.
Now, and I would be so much more likely to vote for someone based on, if you have actually come to my door, even Saturday morning at 9 when I really don't want anyone at my door.
Yeah.
When it comes to politics, that's important. I would like to see more of that. I'd like to see more person-to-person campaigning, like I say, as opposed to...
You mean you don't like it when you get a robocall and it's that voice message that says, I'm endorsing such and such and such.
I'm President Obama.
Yeah.
And I'm endorsing...
I didn't get one of those.
I don't mind it, but it's not personal
Or
to
the
me.
phone banking is when they call your house.
I like the phone banking.
You like the phone banking?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like the phone banking.
Talk to me.
Yeah.
You really? I don't mind it.
You can text me.
Yeah. People get so angry when you call their house.
Yes, they do. And I'm one of those people.
And they hang up on you, and
I don't do
sometimes
that.
they go off on you.
Okay, I don't do that.
And they're like, don't call my house anymore, and if you call again, I'm not voting for
Did
you.
this happen? This sounds like a personal experience.
You know what? Hey, I plead the fifth.
But that is a way, even if your discussion is just going to be with the person on the phone, I know why you're there phone banking and your belief in the candidate, if you express it well and you can tell me what they stand for, it matters with me. Much more than a lawn sign or a plane.
We're going to be debating at the break. So anyways, I know that Brian Pacheco's come by. I've had a lot of people come by.
Really?
Blung Jong.
I haven't had
even Blung Jong's crew came by today.
To stop at my house.
What
you got dogs?
I got weeds.
Oh.
That's plural, right?
Can we talk?
Oh, that is in my yard.
Okay.
I have weeds. The dog needs mowing.
And for the ladies and gentlemen that want to also, the callers that would like to, please give us their opinions as well.
Yes,
Feel free to call in at 559-266-8888.
Yeah, we missed one earlier because I was running my mouth
You
when they
missed one
called.
earlier.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that Mel Sanders missed you
Yeah,
earlier.
so
Please call back.
Yeah, please do.
559-266-8888. And that's all Mel's fault. We totally apologize.
Yes.
So there's another city council race,
Let's talk about District 3.
and it's Oliver Baines.
Yay.
I have my Oliver Baines shirt on today, and I have some of his lit in the campaign office. If any,
I'm not mean sweat, so tell me the real issues.
if anybody that's listening wants to stop by and pick up some lit, I have it. So
You're supposed to tell us about the
Oh,
issues.
I'm sorry. Okay, so in this race, you have Oliver Baines, who's the incumbent.
Mm-hmm.
You have a new political challenger. His name is Eddie Rashad. He's young. He's 28. He's
Thought he was young.
a local entrepreneur. He's not from the community. He's from, I think, Berkeley, Berkeley, California. Relocated to Fresno. He has local ties. And you also have Barbara Hunt. Her name may sound familiar to many of you because
she's in every race.
Yeah, well,
Every District 3 race.
I don't know if
Kato is trying to say something.
Go ahead, Cato. I'd like to hear what you have to say about that.
Well, I don't know if people know this about Barbara, but she was on West Fresno School Board for a number of years.
We do
so
know.
So she was actually an elected official. She ran against Ashley Swearingen in her election. She came in second. I think she got garnered like.
Does that count?
I mean, I don't know, but she's running. She's running for the city council seat.
Every District 3 race she runs. Cato, what did you want to say about that?
Nothing. I like my car.
All right. We'll call her the mama of the community, mama of District 3 election, because she's in every District 3 election.
Godmother.
Okay. Godmother. Okay.
That's your godmother, Kato?
No.
No.
Okay.
We just call her that because she's in
okay.
every, and she's, she has her opinions, and everyone should have one. I just think there's a way to express it to really grasp the voters.
What do you mean, Julia?
I think
Are you
Yeah,
saying
it sounds
her?
like
her
it's not
it sounds like
happening
you
in
know
this
her.
case.
Or you've seen her in action.
Yes, I have.
You should be asking opinion. Mr. Sanders, he knows her personally.
Okay.
Yes, he does.
Okay.
He can give you all kind of insight.
So what do you think?
Okay,
Who do you think the front runners are?
In the
I'm
District
biased because I'm supporting Oliver. I think he's
You're talking about District 3, right?
Yes, the District
Okay, well,
3.
let me tell you about things I've heard out there. So,
Okay.
and this is from an unbiased. I have to be that.
Okay.
Ironically, you have, if you look at Eddie Rashad, he has a lot of supporters from the community and people that are wanting to endorse him because he's young and they feel that this is talking to somebody who was a supporter, because I was surprised to see their name on that list. And so I asked them, what is it that you support? What is that you like about Eddie? He said, well, it seems like a young man that can be reared, that he can hear our voice, because there's certain things that we feel that Mr. Baines has not tackled, some of these issues. And now take in mind, District 3 is not all of the Southwest or West Fresno, but there are some issues that they feel that have not been taken care of diligently. I said, okay, at least, they have an opinion. They told me why. I appreciate that. And they wanted to see more from the District 3 candidate and feel that there should be more coming from Oliver Baines. To Oliver Baines' defense, I know I've talked to him many times about some of the concerns that community people have, and his complaint is he's usually inundated with non-essential information, non-relative things to his district, really personal, catty things that come up in the community that he ends up in the middle of. Yeah. Whether he puts himself in the middle of that or somehow he ends up in the middle of it is usually he's usually trying to play the mediator between African American organizations. I do know that. Sometimes he's just thrown in the middle. Oh, well, Baines, we'll settle this with Baines. And he has that, it's like he has to play that role because he's the only African-American elected official, at least in our area, and people look to him as a role model, so they expect him to be able to handle those issues.
But then he's putting out all these little fires and can't get to the big ones, and then they say you didn't get to the big ones.
Right.
But you know what? I think Fresno, is that small town.
Sure,
they have that small town mentality. You know, you go to Los Angeles. Los Angeles has, you know, and given their very large institution, but Fresno is too, and we need to think like a big city. Their city council staff, their city council members have a staff of 25 to help execute.
And how many does Baines have? You need to really say that.
He has 2.
Oh,
there you
He
go.
has 2. He has a chief of staff and he has a field representative.
if you only have 2 people, I'm not blaming him. He should
Well,
have more.
you know
but
what
do
it
you
is?
need with a
But
chief
here's
of
my thing.
staff?
You only have 2
There's
people,
only
then
2
that means
people.
you need to choose your battles
Priority
wisely.
areas.
Yeah.
Priority.
Yeah.
Your priority area.
And maybe that's something he needs to fix.
Yeah.
And that way
Yeah.
he won't get that.
But you know
feedback.
what? That's not just him, though. That all the city council members. That I think even one city council member only has 1 staff member. You know, their max is like 2. I think maybe
So-
if you're chair, you get 3 members.
They
3 staff
and they have a
members.
budget for staff members, and so what you're saying is the budget should be increased.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I think it would definitely help when you look at constituent services, the things that are going on in your district. Fresno is a big city. This is a big place. There are a lot of issues.
We're in the
going
top
on
5,
there.
right?
But do you think that part of the reason that they don't have, there's not a bigger budget for staff, is because in a conservative area where they don't want to pay taxes in the first place,
That's true.
they
That's
say
true.
we don't need more people,
That's
in
true.
you know,
That's true.
and
But
and
you-
they're actually cheating themselves.
Right. You have to look at capacity.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
we,
why
we,
we're
we talk about nonprofits
Yeah.
and their capacity. You know, wearing all these different hats to try and execute one mission. You know,
But that becomes difficult when you have to wear all these different hats and you are an elected official because
Yeah.
you really have to deal with the issues of the district because there's so many of them. There's so many of them.
and his district has a lot of need. His
Yeah.
district has a
Well,
lot
and as
of need.
usual, unfortunately, as Julia said, we always have to work harder in whatever we're doing, whether we have to work harder because it's us we're working with,
Thank you.
or
Tell the
or
truth.
because we're working with them, and we have to. You know, it's
It's
not good
both
enough
ways.
to just be good. You
It's
have to be
both.
fantastic.
Right.
Yeah.
I
I know that from personal experience. But I want to know what Mel thinks about the other District 3 candidate, Barbara Hunt. Cato told me to ask you that.
I think Cato is related to Barbara Hunt,
I
but he's
think
not
so,
telling
too.
us.
He won't say anything. Mel won't even speak. Cato told us to ask you, because you'll know from a firsthand, you'll be able to give us more insight.
She's running a grassroots campaign too, if that's what you want to call it, because I've seen some of her.
It's some roots.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh,
Maybe-
wait a minute.
Have you
Now
seen
I
her-
got to speak up.
Have you seen her signs?
Mel, is my mic on?
Mel's mic
My
is on while he's
is my mic
laughing.
on? Okay, I got
Well-
to tell this.
Okay.
Church and oh shoot.
Martin Luther King.
And
No,
Martin
no, no. This is at the edge of Walnut, Church and Walnut.
Uh huh.
I'm coming up and I see this sign, Barbara Hunt. Now this is on a 4x8 piece of plywood
Okay.
in black lettering. I thought a 3-year-old wrote it.
Painted?
It has for city is going left to right, city council.
Okay.
And then it reaches the end of the plywood, and then it goes north. So you having it coming across the 2x8. Then it goes. She runs out of space, so then it goes up north. I'm like, oh no, come on now.
Cato, you have got to be joking. You cannot be telling the truth.
I don't know.
Do you have a picture of this sign on
I don't know
your
if I
phone?
believe
Oh,
this
but
myself.
I can't get you one. But see, what amazes me is that not only did she go across the front and run out, I thought she was gonna go around the back and continue it. So she did it. You know, somebody put some heavy thought into it. You know, because that was tacky. That was tacky. I'm sorry.
Well, see, but as with anything, it's how you label it. It was
Presentation.
either
But you know what?
tacky
But-
or it was very industrious.
But you know what? I use that word because she did make me think. I had to go back to 3rd grade to read.
That's right.
I'm like, okay, hey.
Yeah, did you
anybody
have to
else
stop
see it and you
and pull
visualize,
over?
you know what the sign says. She made you work on that one.
See, Mel is back there laughing.
And he has not said a word.
Because, you know, matter of fact, he might not say nothing because she come looking for him. So
She
he
know
better
where
not
he
say
li-
nothing.
and she
You know
know
what?
where he
She may
lives.
be a lot more ingenious than you think.
Yeah.
Oh, she was. That takes creativity. Say, well, I ran out of room, so I'm gonna hook a left and continue anyway.
See, I call that high order problem solving.
Is that what?
I want to hear from Mel. Mel, what do you think about this District 3 race?
Hello?
You know,
Mel,
we're about at the top of the hour, and we have. I will comment on that, but we have a very important announcement the phone call I was on. I was away for a bit. A very important announcement to make at the when we come back after our break. But it's something that's getting ready to happen here, and folks need to know about it. That's equally as important as the election coming up. So we want to make sure we share that information with you after the break. Yes.
Are you going to give us your endorsement for District 3?
I'm going to talk about it.
No, that's not what I said. I said, are you going to give your endorsement for District 3? You sure got quiet in there. I know you running the buttons. You are?
I sure am.
Woo! I was gonna leave, but I'm gonna stay for that.
So after the break, we will get more into discussion, finishing up with our District 3 and also with that important announcement. We want to make sure that you stay tuned to Valley Black Talk Radio and call in if you would like. Your opinion matters. 559-266-8888. We'll be right back after the short break.
He ain't gonna do it.
Fresno.
And we're back, and you're listening to Valley Black Talk Radio here on 88.1 FM, KFCF. Today is June 2nd, 2014, one day before the primary.
Yay! One day before it's all over, and we get to take those signs down, and we get to just go back to business as usual.
No such thing as business as usual. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh.
There's so many other issues we have to tackle and talk about.
Well, this part of it will be over for about, 2 months, and then it kicks
a couple
back up
months,
again.
but it's still going to be kicking up, I think, even thereafter.
But it's going to be fun. It's going to be really interesting.
The road. Mm-hmm. So you're with, in the studio, myself, Julie Dudley Najieb, of course, Mel Sanders, Cato. Hopefully he comes back in because we want to hear.
No, we're getting rid of him because all he likes to do is,
up.
And then and he knows he has to leave. That's how he does. He knows he's got a deadline, so he's got to get out of here because he's got to finish some paperwork, but he wants to start stuff and then leave.
It looks like he's not leaving.
Oh, my God.
Well, you know what?
I
was trying to leave before the mob came, because once they hear your endorsement,
I said, here we go again.
See, I like you like a brother, but I won't die for you.
Meanwhile, folks, we also have Jewell Riversmith along with Eric Payne.
How's it going?
The Honorable Eric Payne.
That too.
Honorable. Oh, okay.
Okay, he's elected.
Yeah, I like that.
Elected honorable.
Hey, Mel.
Yes.
Hey, brother, you got $5?
Here goes the money part. Here goes Cato. So, Mel, you said there was an important announcement you wanted to make.
Yes, we had a call from our faithful listener, Mr. Bob Mitchell, who called us, and he shared with us that he apologized because he got in a little late. He wanted to make it during the announcement period. But there's a meeting on June the 9th at 5 o'clock at City Hall regarding a waste management plant that's being out on Nielsen and Marks. There's some construction going on, and there's some major things happening out there as it relates to some waste management. And he was wanting to make sure that we got the message out to our community that that's what's needed, and that we need to be there. We need to show up and make sure. And you know what? This might be him calling out, so you take it, and then we'll let him make it clear.
Well, I thought we were done with this District 3 race, but for some reason, Cato was wanting to hear that endorsement. Whether that's important at this point, should we kind of move on to the, because we still also have some measures to talk about. What are the measures to talk about in propositions?
Oh, let's go to the measures and propositions.
Okay, measures and propositions.
All right, Proposition 41.
Okay.
I don't know if everyone's aware of that, but I'll just read it just in case you're not. Veterans Housing and Homeless Prevention Bond, Act of 2014.
No, Julia, just before you do that,
Okay.
let's finish this announcement.
All right.
And Bob did call.
Okay.
And I'm glad he did, because I had the wrong explanation of what this was.
Oh, that's why you called back. Thank
Yeah.
goodness.
Thank you, Bob, for calling back. Thank you. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Thank you, sir. Can you share that and straighten me out?
I
Thank you for calling.
firm that's attempting to be located at the Nielsen and Hughes area at the old cotton gin firm is Brentag Chemical Company. It is a chemical warehouse project. They will not make chemicals at the location. However, what they do plan to do is store over 105,000 gallons of liquid chemicals in 6 tanks. Now, that's just part of it.
Is it flammable?
They are flammables,
Cancerous?
they're irritants, they're corrosives.
Oh, wow.
In addition to those tanks that they're going to have volume of chemicals, and they will also have a total of 391 other chemicals on that site. The nature of the business is not that they will be necessarily producing these chemicals on site, but the volume of storage of the harmful type of chemicals that they will have present pose a very, very serious problem for our community, the area in which we live. And so it is very important that people turn out for this meeting on the 9th of June at 5 p.m. at City Hall on the 3rd floor at room 3078 to voice their concerns and let the city know that this is not the type of development that we desire to see within our community. This plant is going to be located within a mile of an elementary school. And I think we all remember less than 2 months ago, a school was evacuated.
Right.
The swimming pool people were using a chemical upwind from the school, reline a swimming pool. That brought on a disastrous result for the students at the school. Now we're talking hundreds and thousands of gallons of liquid chemicals that are extremely volatile, extremely dangerous, and this is what is possibly going to end up in our community.
So let me ask you this. Now, what is the process? This is a hearing, and from this it goes where?
Well, what occurred earlier is that some of us from our community appeared before the Planning Commission when this was first heard, and as a result of that, it was continued. And I've just become recently aware of the fact that the final report is in, and that this possibly will come before the Commission again on June the 18th. This hearing, this is not a hearing, let me correct myself. This meeting, which is being held by the Planning Department of the City of Fresno, is to explain and review and discuss their proposed mitigated negative declaration, which simply says, in essence, is that we have mitigated this danger by saying they can place a tree here or there, down on what may be blown by the wind. You know, those type of things are what they call mitigated negative declarations. So again, the seriousness of the situation for our community, I think, requires all of us to be present to let the city know that this is unacceptable, that you wouldn't do it in any other part of the city, and that your antiquated zoning laws, which allow, can be changed. So hopefully your listeners will turn out and show their support for those of us who view this as a very ominous development.
All right, sure. Well, I thank you for sharing that with us, and I'm sure that on next Monday, someone after that meeting, I would appreciate if someone, if none of us are there, and I'm planning to be there, but if not, that someone can share with the community what the outcome of that meeting was. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Brother Bob.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
And those are the type of things that are important to really get out to the community, and I hope people can show up and be there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we'll make an attempt. Hopefully, Mel or someone can get out there. So
Yeah, I'm
going
going
to
to try my best to make it. If he calls and reminds me, I'll make it there. But you know what else too is it's connected to politics too, because at the end of the day, it's going to have to be a political decision made as to whether or not that plant goes in there, or if they're able to do what they want to do with that particular piece of property. And so it's a never-ending battle in terms of making sure that we stay connected to the politicians, so that when the decisions are made, we are in the room. And so often I hear what he's saying about us showing up at this hearing, but I think equally as important is for us to have the ear of the people who make the decisions,
Right.
and that they can count to 4.
Right.
But this is the kind of thing that every single one of us needs to be concerned about. Not just the people who live in the area, because you can't make anything safe enough that an earthquake can't, can't. I think about, I'm sure they told all the people in Fukushima, oh, it'll be okay. We have all these safety guards in place, and don't worry about it. It'll be all right.
And look
on the slim chance that something happens, everybody in Fresno, the northernmost people, will still be affected if something happens at that facility. Let's not have it in the first place. Fresno, we can't do any better than that. City council and county supervisors, we can't draw any safe companies here. We have to go for garbage dumps and
there's more money.
Toxic waste.
And it's the utilization of that particular piece of property has been vacant for so long, and that's a quick fix.
Oh, right, but that's my point. It's a quick fix, and it's a dangerous one. We can't do better than that. Get out there and find some businesses that we want.
Well,
how come you didn't bring the Tesla plant here? Well, I mean, I know the NUMMI plant was already empty and blah, but what I'm saying is, bring some manufacturing. Bring some good jobs, not some jobs that our husbands and kids and wives and cousins and sisters are going to take and then be full of cancer. And anyway, I could go on and on.
But Eric said it best though. He says when you have a staff of only 2, it makes it very difficult for one person to be on top of so many different fires in the district and with so many needs.
Yeah.
And the other, I think Julia said it earlier. I was kind of half listening, but you talked about the community where you could turn to your community for help. There's so much infighting going on that it's difficult for that particular individual to turn and say, okay, can you identify this problem and you deal with this and keep me informed so that I know which way to do, so you become my eyes and ears and we move to the next level. And I think that's a lot of where we are right now in terms of, if you don't have the resources to add more staff, how do we mobilize those groups in our community that and keep them focused, because a lot of times, they start out with good intentions, but you show them
how did somehow we veer off? Explain to me how we veer off.
Because they're looking for the dollar.
Yeah.
And when you're looking for the dollar, you'll leave the important thing that you're doing, because it may be dollars there, but it may be 4 or 5 years down the road. You're looking for that instant gratification. Oh yeah, well, and that's not all. Sometimes it's not by. It's not. It's something that's by design. We need to make sure these people are not focused. So, how do we make sure we divert?
Well, and I won't say that this particular district is at fault for that, but even District 16, if you look at that, there's been one individual where they just say a lot of words, and it's supposed.
You want to talk about my buddy Jim?
I didn't even say anything. I said no names. I didn't say any names. I just said
when you said
District
the 16 congressional district, you figure it out. I figured it out who you were talking about.
Well, because that's one of the main ones who does not spit.
Yeah, he gives you a lot of lip service.
A lot of lip service. And spends a lot of money on other types of media and excluding African American.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys don't vote, so why should I spend money on you?
Yeah, okay. But then comes to our different events to speak and somehow.
Yeah. Walk right past me and then got past me, and I'm trying my best to avoid him. And as soon as he gets past me, good, he recognizes me. He comes back. Good to see you, Mel. Why I oughta.
And so I'm just saying, I think there's that fault at a lot of other districts as well that we could point fingers out. So we have to, like you say though, it's important to keep our candidates that we support responsible, and accountable.
Yeah, you got to hold them accountable.
Responsible and
but
accountable.
you have to be able to, in order to do that, the number one thing you have to do is be able to deliver at the ballot box.
That's
because
true.
that's, I'm going to tell you something. Politicians like those jobs.
Yeah, they do.
They like being called and being the keynote speaker, and you come to this dinner and you're comp. You don't have to spend anything. They're eating filet mignon. You've been eating hamburgers all your life. Oh, wait a minute. Well, how do I keep this? Well, all you got to do is, and that's
right.
So we have to hold them accountable, and they have to be accountable to us because the votes got them there, and we control the votes.
That's true. So that reminder is important. And how do you put that in place?
Oh, yeah. Now you want to give up trade secrets, huh?
Well, are we going to finish up with the District 3? Whatever Cato wanted?
We were waiting on Mel's endorsement.
Yeah, because that's what Cato was saying before we left. I was trying to get the propositions, but it was Cato that brought us back to that.
I endorse Mr. Oliver Baines. Wow. But I don't see nothing. I don't see my name on none of his ledger.
My name's not on there either.
I don't know. Maybe that was just.
I'm a business owner in District 3, and I'm not even on the list.
Yeah,
and I gave to his campaign.
Wait, my
You're
name
secret.
At?
You're a secret weapon.
Where my name is?
Am I? Or maybe just a weapon. I don't know. People can look at it two different ways. It could be a good thing or a bad thing. Either Julia's on my list, that could be used as a weapon, or it
but
could
I think my gut instinct says it's going to be an interesting day tomorrow.
Yeah, that will be.
And I say that too because it's going to be a situation where there's got to be something after tomorrow for Mr. Baines. You know what the mayor did. She was just elected for 4 years, and 2 years into her term, she runs for state controller.
Of course.
So
whether she's prepared for that or not,
maybe that was a move to get her name out there, so she has name recognition.
Right.
Well, guess what? 2 years from now, there's going to be an open seat in Sacramento. The assembly seat, and I don't think Eric's going to run for that seat. I would imagine
you might. I don't know. PhD might. You never know. He might.
But
he's not saying anything now. He's thinking about it. He's doing a Hillary Clinton. Look at. He's doing a Hillary Clinton. Don't be so scared. So,
but it'll be interesting.
Get you a nice pantsuit and everything.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting because I'm sure that Mr. Baines has higher aspirations. And
sure he does.
To me, that would be the most logical move for him to move to the state assembly. But that's something that. Well,
seriously,
I was
actually, yeah. I take that back because it's all been serious. How much of a presence do we have? And you have talked about this before, Mr. Sanders, about allying with like-minded organizations, because as only 8% of the population. Do politicians have to court us? Do they have to care what we think? We're only 8%. Even if every last one of us went out and voted.
Yeah, they do. If every last one of you go out and vote, yeah. And it's not necessarily every last one, because see, I maintain this. There are 3 times as many people who are eligible who are not even registered in areas than there are people who are already in the pool. And what politicians constantly concentrate on are the fish that are already in the bowl. They never talk about enlarging the bowl. And I believe that the reason they don't talk about enlarging is because they got to promise something that they know they're going to have to deliver when you have more people with eyes on you saying you promised. Whereas it stands now, you fish out of that bowl where these are the traditional voters who vote all the time. So you just simply need to influence them, and then you're going to be, you'll win again. But I'm thinking the way things are now, those times are hard. Everybody's hungry. So there's going to be more and more people moving towards, hey, wait a minute, let's have some accountability here. Let's see what you really can do, and then knowing more about what's in the bailiwick of a politician. What can you do? What's in your capability? What does a board of supervisors individual as a supervisor person? What does he have in terms of committee assignments? Influence on directing dollars from the county going to agencies for support. Those kinds of things, we need to know what's there. And
that's the nitty gritty.
And to me, an organization like BWAPA, the NAACP, those folks need to have those kinds of that information available to us. So and the Black Chamber. I'm sorry, the Chamber should also be a part of that. But we need to have a network of people who have the information for us, so that we know what we're talking about when we go to talk.
Right.
And most of the time, we wind up isolated on one or two issues, when here's a big, huge arena that we really need to be dealing with, and we have the expertise. I mean, we have, what did you say earlier? We have 148 kids graduating from high school on their way to college?
Yep.
I mean, only graduating from college out of Fresno State. Man, there's a wealth of resources and just those individuals who are able to, who could be impactful in our community. So,
and that's what I mean. I feel that if we are going to do forums like that for the community, it has to be accessible for everyone, because I know all of us are not just in one particular community. It has to be also topics and issues that are geared towards specific districts, or issues that are geared towards affecting a majority of us. And it might not just be, do you hire African Americans? It might be more geared towards maybe a service that's in that particular district that garners a lot of African American support or lack thereof. I think we need to look more at that the next time we plan a forum.
Can you be more specific, please? Because that sounded real general to me. It sounded good, but I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. But make it plain.
If I'm at a forum, I don't want to hear about how great a candidate is. I want to hear about the issues from that area, from that district, that are going to be taken care of, that involve me, my presence, that involves myself as a part of the community, that might also affect Jewell. Let's say I'm in Jewell's community and we're in the same community, and because I know, like in District 1, we've got some issues with some vandalism and stuff that's not getting taken care of, and that's a District 1 issue, meaning that people are really upset about, because it's not getting cleaned up. People aren't. The kids can go in people's yard and steal those little light things. They stole my hose, things like that. Those are concerns, right?
So let me ask you
this. But
this.
if it's in a particular neighborhood, and that particular representative would have to know how to deal with that. I felt that the forum we had, people didn't even know about the city budget, or how they would break down the city budget. That's a problem for me.
Okay, so you're talking about something. I want to raise a question to you before I say that. You're listening to Valley Black Talk here at KFCF 88.1, Free Speech Radio for the Central San Joaquin Valley. I'm Mel Sanders, along with Jewell Riversmith, Eric Payne, and the lovely Julia Dudley. You're going to hear that FM voice in a minute. Watch, folks.
Yes.
But anyway, what I was going to ask you is it more important, or how would you rate this in terms of the effectiveness of a representative as it relates to them being able to garner the support they need to move the agenda that you talked about, or is it more important for them to identify the problems that and that kind of thing?
You remember what I've told you before? Economics. They need to know how to run a city. I've said that from the beginning.
But that's not. I don't think that's it.
That does.
I think that's a different question.
But it's not. It's very relative, because you have to. People want to sometimes.
I grant you that.
Some people
but that's
get the
not
popular
the question I
vote.
asked.
I'm not talking about being popular, but it's very much relative to the question that you just asked.
I don't think so.
I think
Eric,
it is.
Did you hear that? Did you understand that to be the same? The question
Why
that she
put Eric in the middle of this? This is between me and you.
I know. I want to hear. I'm going to ask Jewell too, because I think I asked the different question, and you gave me the answer of the economics. But
no. So your question is Julia right? You have to know how to run a city.
No.
That's that was my answer. He didn't like that.
No.
He wants me to do a different answer.
Well, Eric, what did you hear me ask?
Well, I kind of feel like you need to know how to read a budget. You need to know how to work with people. And you need to learn you need to know how to get your messaging across. Yeah. I think, it's all about governing at that point. I mean, being an effective city council member, those are things you got to know. You got to know the system. What's going on at the state level, what resources are out there. As a city council member, you mostly deal with infrastructure. So you have to be a builder.
But we don't have that. Remember, I talked about that. So they don't have the...
He's closer to what I was getting at. But and his second response was really where I was going. He said being able to work with people. And I'm getting to the point. The point I was trying to make was you have to be able to count to 4. And if you cannot count to 4, all of the things that you know about what's wrong and how to fix it and all of that
doesn't matter. If you don't have that.
If you cannot count to 4, it does not matter. And that's what the point I was getting to.
Okay, but what do you do when you have other incompetent leaders that may not know how to run a city? I just feel like there should either be...
That you have to go to for the 4th vote? Or one of the 4
that's
votes?
what the issue is. That's what I felt the issue was even in the prior years that we've talked about the challenges that the city of Fresno has had. That is a problem. A lot of them do not know how to run a city or economics. You have to know. I feel like you have to have those courses, and it's required before you can even be.
Well, see, that's a voter problem.
I know that's a voter problem.
Voters need
but the voters don't know that. They are hoping that they already have that, or they have the. I'm telling you. You say.
See, you know what? And that's why I say we should be. When I think of WAPA or NAACP or Black Chamber, those are the organizations. It's easy to put work on somebody else's plate, but I'm saying because they have the machinery, those are the organizations that should be saying, you know what, Saturday at the African American Museum, we have an 8 to 5 thing going on.
Thank you.
You come. Hopefully you can leave a donation, but if you can't, it's free to and we are going to train you on how city politics work, so that you can be an informed citizen, and so that B, if at some later point you should decide you want to run for something, then we're going to have another training day. 3 weeks from now, we're going to talk about what. I mean, we need political education.
I will credit Mayor Swearingen for this. She started the Citizens Academy, the Mayor Citizens Academy.
I've heard
it was a really good program. I went through her program. It's you meet all the executive directors of each of the departments. You learn the inner workings, and I'm talking about you got a cohort of like 30 individuals from different walks of life. I even in my cohort, the chief of staff for Clint Olivier was in my cohort. You had Lisa Berger from Channel 26. She was also a participant. And so you learn so much about what's going on in city government, and it's just kind of like, you ask those questions to those directors, and believe it or not, some of those issues came to the forefront of the public. And it was trial by public opinion.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
See, but in big cities, you don't have this problem. People either already have that background knowledge and information, so when they're running for a particular, as a candidate, they already have that information. I think it's that small town mentality that we have here in Fresno.
But where would you get it? Like even in the big city, where do they get it?
You have organizations like Emily's List. You have and they tend to train women to become political leaders. You have
so bigger city, more organizations.
Urban Habitat, they're in San Francisco. They focus on communities of need and developing a leadership structure there for their residents to engage, so they can become political leaders. So you have a variation. Do I think Fresno has the potential to develop something like that? Absolutely. Do I think the resources are there? Absolutely. Are they doing it? Not so much.
And I will say, from the Bay Area, I'm from the Bay Area, Jack and Jill. That's all we learned. We trained on that. Robert's rules. I mean, religiously. Every meeting had to be run by Robert's rule. Of course, we had officers. Each group had officers. I don't know much about the Fresno Jack and Jill here as much, but I was forced to do that, because then you had to go on a regional level, then you had to go to state level and do the same type of thing.
See, I had no idea that Jack and Jill did. I guess just because of the name, and I'm familiar with it, but I think we weren't. Can I say bougie? we weren't in that stratosphere, let's say. But that is I'm so glad to hear they do that.
Julia is a bougie.
You guys don't even know what that word means. Let's go to a break.
Now you know.
It's time to go to break.
Oh, okay.
You are listening to Valley Black Talk Radio. You have to disregard Mel Sanders. We're so sorry. And we will be right back after this break. And 559-266-8888 is that number to call in to give your last opinion for this last half hour coming up. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the last half hour of Valley Black Talk Radio here on 88.1 FM KFCF. Today is June 2nd, 2014, and we are wrapping up the program with myself, Jewell Dudley Najieb, and Jewell Riversmith, our guest Eric Payne, and Mel Sanders. We were talking about local elections to some of the statewide. We never even got to the national. We'll have to save that for another conversation. But we do have some propositions that we want to talk about. The two propositions, 41 and also 42, and then also Measure A, just so people have some insight and information to that. The number to call in tonight is 559-266-8888, 559-266-8888. And I know we left off by saying how it's important to be able to educate the voter, and I know we've said that so many other times before on other programs. And why that's so difficult for us to do or challenging, I don't know, but I feel like maybe in the first part of a forum, that's something that we should really begin to start focusing on. And maybe throughout the year, even Valley Black Talk Radio can be a part of that. Our media can be a part of that. From newspaper, TV, all of us need to be a part of that in being able to educate our voters. Knowing the different, from city to the county level to the state level, we really have to let people know what areas are affected.
What kind of a city we are. Like, I was just doing some research months back and discovered, there's different kinds of city government. There's and now, of course, it's all gone out of my head. I can't, but there's different kinds of city. You have, let's say, your board of supervisors has power to make decisions that, just for example, the Selma board of supervisors doesn't, because they have a different city government in their charter and all of that. It just,
but even knowing the process and the duties, because some people say a controller, what the heck does a controller do? So some people may not know that, and that's something we have to begin to start educating. We have to do it. Stop waiting for someone else to do. We just need to start doing it.
And in some cities you even have positions like the city clerk is an elected position. You go down to Carson, Southern California, those are elected. The city attorney is an elected position in the Bay Area. So, in Fresno, they're all appointed.
And then who's doing the appointing? I mean, it actually, to me, it's endlessly fascinating. But, I need to learn more about it. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people don't find it endlessly fascinating, and that's why they don't really pay attention. But the problem is, you don't notice it. You don't miss your water till your well runs dry. Then when your well runs dry, you want to go to the city water department and figure out what. But they've had laws in place for years that allowed them to dry your well out, and you weren't paying attention.
Right.
Or not house your homeless veterans, which is a proposition that's on the ballot this year, right?
So looking at Proposition 41, Veteran Housing and Homeless Prevention Bond Act of 2014, State of California says, should California sell $600 million in new general obligation bonds to fund affordable multifamily housing for low-income veterans? And this authorizes $600 million in general obligation bonds to these families, supportive housing. This would be relieving homelessness, having affordable transitional housing, rental housing, related facilities for veterans and their families.
And in light of all of the conversations we've had in the last 2 weeks, how do you think people are going to vote?
Well, let me finish. I didn't get to the other part. Fiscal impact. What does that mean? Money. So you're looking at increased state bond repayment costs averaging $50 million annually over 15 years. Meaning of a yes/no vote. A yes vote on this measure means that the state would sell the $600 million in general obligation bonds to fund affordable multifamily housing. A no vote means the state would not sell it, of course. And the background on that you have to know has to do with the state programs, because it says in the most years about 150,000 houses and apartments are built in California, but most of the housing units are built entirely with private dollars, according to the background. As far as the Veterans Home Loan Program, the state and federal government provide home loan assistance to some of the 1.9 million veterans living in California. So under the state program, the state sells general obligation bonds to investors and uses the funds to buy homes on behalf of eligible veterans. Who wants to start on that first?
So I go back to my original
That's
statement.
a tough one.
What's been in the news for the last couple of weeks? You think people are going to vote against that?
I don't.
No, I don't.
I don't either.
I don't.
It's our veterans.
Even though some of the details you just laid out there in terms of what it's going to cost us, probably at another time they would be more conservative and not. It's just like on June 5th, they're going to vote on Bernie Sanders is going to bring something back to the Senate, and I guarantee you, those 41 Republicans that voted against that money for the veterans, not one of them are going to vote against it this time around. So it's one of those things. Is when people are watching you, you vote one way. When they're not watching you, you filibuster and do like what's it Rubio did when he made that speech about it's a good idea, but the cost we have to knock down the debt. Let me hear if he's going to say that this time.
I don't know if he's going to touch that one. Now, a summary that would be against Proposition 41 would authorize the state to borrow by selling bonds, $600 million out of the $900 million in bonds previously approved by voters in 2008 for use by the CalVet Home and Farm Loan Program.
I mean, when you look it's so little in terms of the piece of the pie.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
$600 million. We have we're our multi-billion-dollar state. 90, I think, like $100 billion. I mean, that's
bigger than most countries.
I gotta tell you, the issue I have with it, as I understand it, this would provide for low-income housing strictly for vets.
That's what it's supposed to be for.
See, I'm going to get in trouble here, especially in an area that is heavily military. But I'm uncomfortable with the idea of placing one needy person over another based on anything, including, I have a chip on my shoulder about, there's all these programs for families with dependents. You hear needy families.
Yeah.
Well, what about needy singles? What about, so you don't really matter if you don't have children.
But here's the thing, but most of the homeless people that you find in California happen to be veterans.
But see, that's what I'm saying. So why make the
delineation of veterans?
Because they put their lives on the line. That's why they were asked to do something that most people wouldn't do or couldn't do, so they did.
But they weren't asked, though, right? I mean, listen, I'm not saying that they're not worthy. Understand me. I'm saying if you have the Multiple Sclerosis Society and the Cancer Society, and they both need to use this room, who's more worthy, the Multiple Sclerosis Society or the Cancer Society? So I'm saying it's one thing.
But is that apples to apples or apples to oranges?
It's the same thing. If you say needy people need a leg up, whether they're a veteran or whether they're, I'm going to say, a mother of three who lost her job and can't find another one right now.
That's true,
and
too.
maybe that vet even has a better chance of getting a job because of his or her military history. Maybe where the mother of three might work just as hard, but she comes in and people are judging her on, she ain't married and she got these 3 kids. It doesn't matter how hard she works. It does. So what I'm saying is, if you're going to give money that will benefit anyone who's needy. Build your apartment complex and let anyone who meets the qualifications
But
move
I kind
in.
of feel like you have to look at it from a perspective of the level of service that a veteran has given to the country. You could have been discharged because you lost both of your legs in that process.
Right.
And you're no longer, you can't stand up and you can't work in, maybe you were an aircraft, maintenance person. You can't get under the aircraft like you want to. And so now, you can't find a job, and there are all these other what ifs that come into the equation. And now you have, you're homeless. I mean, you're out of work. You don't have a formal education because you decided to go into the military, and all these other.
But
issues.
don't you get the education as part of going in the? I mean, that's why a lot of people sign up, right? Because you have the GI Bill and you have other benefits, and if you do have some, or even if you're just discharged honorably with no injury, they've got programs at college. They've got things that somebody else might not necessarily qualify for, but might be. So again, I want to register that I'm not saying they're not worthy of it. I'm saying, how do you decide that one person is more worthy than another?
I think what I heard, Mel, is Jewell's against veterans. That's what I'm
that's what I said. Ooh, you gonna get in trouble.
We want her to have her titles when she leaves
I'm
here.
only laughing because the universe knows my heart.
But you know what, though?
That is not at all. I just don't know how you decide.
I see the phone lines lighting up.
My dad is a veteran from years ago, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you decide.
Well, I when I look at it, I think this country is rich enough to take care of everybody. That's what I believe.
Exactly.
But if I'm going to prioritize, though, I'm going to, and even though I'm not a strong military supporter, in terms of the military direction that they've taken over the past few years or several years when they've chosen wars that never should have been gotten into and all of those kinds of things. But those individuals who fought, they did that, and I think for whatever reason they decided they wanted to serve. I think they need to be put at the top of the list. That's me. I think
my uncle was drafted and just had to serve. So what if some people that just had to serve?
Yeah, well, then they should be at the front of the list.
Well, and the thing is, though, but we don't have the draft anymore. We haven't had it in decades.
But you're in there. If you did the service, you did the service.
But there's a difference between being drafted and making a choice that you're going to go into the military,
of course,
knowing, especially now, knowing the kind of government we have who will go to war over a broken fingernail. You need to think about
and other countries that we have to support and that we have an allegiance to.
Exactly. You need to think about whether this is and again, I'm not. It is an admirable thing to do, but I just don't know how you decide between the vet and the somebody else who's very hardworking, very studious, trying to be a good citizen.
Well,
I don't know how.
I think the average voter will probably be in favor of it. By the way, this doesn't raise taxes.
They just rearrange some money. What I heard you say, they taken $6.5 million, $600 million out of a $900 million and move it over here so the veterans can use it.
Well, I think if our callers want to call in and respond, you can call 266-8888 and ask for Jewell Riversmith.
There it is.
And you know who I want to hear from? I want to hear from some of you foster children who have now aged out of the foster care program.
That's true.
and are looking for jobs, couldn't get, have had.
I got it for you. Go join the military.
Okay.
Then you move to the top of the list.
Yeah, if you're ready to kill some other mother's child for a reason that you don't necessarily agree with.
Okay, so for that argument, I will say this. My nephew is a senior in high school this year. He's graduating next week, June 10th. From Central Unified School District.
Central?
And he's going.
Hey, what's wrong with you talking about Central?
He went to Washington. Why would he go to Central and he grew up in Washington? Man, traitor. Okay, all right.
So he's going to the military. He leaves in July, and he's so religious. I'm talking about the guy leads Bible study on Wednesdays at his school. He's all in the singing and everything, and he is a good kid. And but his take on it was, I'm going to the military, but I'm going to be a chaplain. And chaplains in the military aren't required to carry the gun.
Oh, he's pretty smart.
They're not, they go in after the fact and come in.
Youngster?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was his thing, and he tested, and he went down to San Jose a couple weeks ago.
Oh, so my son was down there too. San Jose got tested.
He's going to Texas. He's leaving for Texas, I think, Fort Hood in July.
Okay, now I of course wish him the best because I love you.
And I love him. And
but do you know how often people sign up for a particular thing and promises are made, but they are not kept? That is not unusual at all. So again, I just say to you, the military is a difficult subject for me because I think it's an admirable thing to do, but let's face, I take some issue with people who say, I went into the military to fight for your freedom. I didn't ask you to go. I don't want you to go. If it were up to me, I would tell you, stay home and march against going to this war in the first place. All of us. We shouldn't have been in Iraq.
In general.
We shouldn't have been in Iran. We shouldn't have been in Afghanistan.
That's right.
Don't put that on me because I don't want you to go. I would tell you to stay. So
one of the longest wars.
And
let's
it's not
move on.
draft.
Let's move on to Proposition 42, because then we still have just Measure A that we want to talk about. Proposition 42 says, should the state constitution be amended to require local governments to comply with state public access laws and to eliminate the requirement that the state reimburse local governments for the cost of such compliance?
Yes.
Okay. That answers that, right?
Yeah, because I want to get back to that emotional conversation she was on. I like that. I like what you were saying about that. But okay, what's next?
We didn't talk
We
about.
didn't even talk about it. We didn't talk about this one.
Well, she said yes. That was it. Okay. What else you want to say?
What do you think?
Yeah. No, I was totally on board. I was getting ready to go to the next issue. I was kind of like.
All right, let me just give you a summary. No, stay on this one. Focus.
Julia, read the summary so people
Thank you.
understand what we're
All right,
talking
so
about.
Proposition 40, if you're for Proposition 42, that will cement in the Constitution the public's right to know what the government is doing and how it is doing it. This is important, people. Local agencies shouldn't be allowed to deny requests for public information, kind of like what we just did.
You're a media person. That's why you want to talk about this, huh? Okay.
Directly relates to us, yeah.
Okay, my bad. All right.
To deny a request for public information or slam a meeting door shut based on cost. Vote yes on Proposition 42.
You know what I think this came from? Last year, I think the governor was doing like a series of town hall visits with like city governments, city councils, mayors, and the media was not allowed to come into these closed door meetings. And there was a lot of conversation and public outcry as to what is the governor talking about with this city council and this mayor, and we don't know. And so hey, I'm all about transparency. And
transparency is important, man.
And let me tell you what they do. They say, well, all you have to do is petition for the minutes of the meeting, and then you go petition, and they say, well, it's 12 pages and it's going to cost you $8 a page. No. I say, there's so much that goes on. I think about Bell. For some reason, that pops into my head all the time. If the people had been paying some more attention and maybe didn't have to pay to find out the minutes of the meeting, maybe then people would have been paying themselves six figures, but they're not worried about anybody finding anything out. And it's not just Bell. It's a lot of places.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of meetings
but
go
this
on
requires, if we do this requires local governments to follow Public Records Act and the Brown Act. It requires them to do it. That's what this measure does.
And that's what I'm saying. That's the way it needs to be. You shouldn't have to pay. And in fact, you know what? I'll bring my own paper. Okay?
I can do that too.
It's my taxes that pay for that ribbon in that LaserJet 2 in your office. So whether I bring my paper or not, we as citizens should be able to find out what is going on in every meeting that takes place that affects anything, not just in our district or on our block, but in our city and in our region. And just because it's not the city council, maybe it's the local school board, we should be able to find out.
If they're using public funds, it ought to be public information.
That's all we're saying.
And we shouldn't have
I encourage people, and I have to be biased on this, but to vote yes, because we want to make sure transparency. If we're talking about the voter being educated, knowing what's going on, that's all a part of that. Exactly. I rest my case. Now can I go into Measure A?
Yeah.
Because you guys are trying to skip back. Trying to skip by stuff. I'm like, what is it?
Yeah, because these people. On a good one there about that military stuff. That was man.
Well, we didn't we didn't talk about the city council race with the incumbent. I think District 7.
We didn't talk about District 7.
Clint Olivier.
Oh, he's got a lot of slack. What's going on? He does really good speeches.
And Mike Wells. Wells. So.
That's true.
Yeah, he's got a lot of.
Flack and slack.
How many people are in that race?
3. I think Arthur Gonzalez is also.
So he's gonna get to 50+1.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna be wrong.
People in Olivier's district are not.
They're not happy though. People are not happy with him. But he speaks.
Really?
Yeah, he's a really good speaker though. He's a very good, great politician, I would say.
Is that him picking? Is that the guy with the picture of him sending it as an anchor to the news?
Yeah,
yeah, that's him.
Oh yeah, he's sharp. He's pretty smart, huh?
Yeah.
And he's been hosting on KMJ a lot, huh? That's why he did that. Okay.
Did you mean he's smart or did you mean he's savvy? Because why you say he's smart?
Yeah, he's savvy's the word.
Savvy.
Yeah.
Which is a nice word for slick.
Yeah. There he is.
So no one's gonna check District 16. Or are we done with that? What's the other one you guys want to talk about?
Well, I want to hear about A.
Okay. Well, I don't know because you guys kind of skipped over when I was talk about Proposition 41 and 42.
We just decided on that.
All right. Measure A, County Abatement Program. Should the Fresno County Vehicle Abatement Program and vehicle registration fees, $1 per vehicle and an additional $2 for certain commercial vehicles payable upon registration of a vehicle, be renewed for a 10-year term beginning July 1st, 2014.
How much?
$1, It's $1 per vehicle and an additional $2 for certain commercial vehicles.
See, that's so high. Why did they start at $1? Why couldn't it be? I mean, you're talking. There are a lot of cars, and this is a Fresno. See,
Fresno County.
See that?
What does it go for? What do they use it for?
To make up a shortfall for something?
Yeah, so it says be renewed for a 10-year term beginning July 1st for the abatement and removal of abandoned, wrecked, dismantled, or inoperative vehicles.
Oh, no. What you do is you give a contract to a guy that says, look, you could scrap those out, and they make money off of that. Why would we have to give $1?
Because somebody wanted the measure to pass, also wouldn't be on the ballot in the first place.
Yeah, but we need to find out who did that, because they must have something personal to gain from that, because I know you take a metal car to the junkyard, they're going to give you some money. So you don't need to get $1 from the taxpayers.
It won't make it to the junkyard. They'll be stopping at all kinds of recycling places along the way.
And you know, folks get fined for having like cars in their front yard.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Unoperative
Just find
ones.
people. When you find an abandoned car, find the owner. Listen, I said FINE, not find.
Oh, I thought it said find. I'm like, how are you going to find the owner? That's the problem.
Yeah, based on license plate. Now, if they take the plates off, you have a little bit of trouble.
Right.
But no, find the owner. Why should we have to pay for abatement? And like you say,
you know, it might be one of those things where it's kind of like I know the county a while ago did Measure B, which was for the libraries to fund public libraries, which is super important. But
now that's important.
Yeah, the reason that they had to go and do that process again was because the 10-year limit or 15-year limit on that funding cycle or stream was coming to an end. So they had to start campaigning again. And this might be the same thing where maybe 10 years ago this was the funding mechanism to go through and, you know,
before the recycling got real big.
Right.
Yeah.
Because right now, man, I'll pick up all. Just call me, and I'll pick up all the abandoned cars, and you don't have to worry about them. I'll take care of them. Just make sure I get clear title to them, and I'll make it happen.
See, we need some real rules here, because I'll have my car on the street in front of my house for 3 days. I'll come out and it'll be gone. It'll be on the back of Mel's truck.
Right, we would need some rules for that. Mel said.
It didn't go for 3 days, so.
But I don't think this should be a burden to the taxpayers.
Yeah, I don't think that should be a burden to us.
Unless there's something missing from what you just shared with us.
No, and I couldn't even find the author of that.
And if you were going to do that, I would think that you'd maybe say a quarter or something. Something minimal.
$1
because
and $2.
You're talking about building a nest egg of whatever you're going to really use the money for.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to use the money for that. Not when you can. The cars, when you can take them to the recycle.
Yeah.
I would be interested to know
what is the
way
more money than that.
Current balance in that fund right now. Because I'm betting it's pretty high.
Yeah.
Matter of public record, I guess.
You know, I was in my mind. I was trying to do the math because I was thinking, there's like 1 million people in the county.
I know, right?
Multiply that by,
Everybody got 2 cars.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, these guys are man.
They're
They're gonna make a lot of money.
Yeah, no.
Not to mention the commercial vehicles.
Right.
Commercial vehicles,
that is a lot. Okay, now you can go back to your whatever it was, the veteran. You guys want to go back to that, really?
I don't know. Maybe we lost a little steam because Jewell was really pumped up. And I was liking what you were saying about these guys picking wars that they should never pick and then send people to fight. So, no.
Yeah, really think about. I think, I keep meaning I have such a long reading list, but I want to read. Is it Christopher Hitchens who wrote "War is a Force That Gives Us Meaning"? Because I think, unfortunately, we do have in our society. So we tend to glorify it, to me, too much, and then young people come home with PTSD and missing limbs and all kinds of things that nobody told them. It never entered their mind that would happen to them, or they wind up on some raid where 15 children get killed and they say, I didn't sign up for this. But this is what this is a facet of the military. I'm not branding the whole military, because
you know what?
We need one.
I almost feel like the things that we need to be voting on in some of these measures, and even creating a more local context, setting the stage for Measure Y, where we look at like youth, mental health services, after school programs, and parks. Those are things that we need to be funding that are really really we're at a disadvantage.
Where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah, you know,
you can see this. This is something you can put your hands on. It's tangible.
I mean, we talk about public safety as an issue, and I think they said over 900 officers have been cut since like 2008. I mean, how do we get a public safety tax or public safety partial measure or some sort where we can bring that, you know, back into the fold?
But there was that, and we voted that down. Well, because it was where it was going. I think that's what it was.
I won't even go there.
Was that
so? Right now, not having a lot of officers has kind of been working in my favor.
Oh wow!
That's why it was voted down, because money would have been used just for that public safety to hire more of the officers versus the program.
Well, not just that. I mean, we can make it our own. I mean, we've seen in Oakland where they've implemented restorative justice as a model. I know that's something that's really
what they use, though. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that would work.
Community policing.
But that's what they use. But it wasn't going to go towards that, so people voted that down when we did have something like that. So it needs to be more direct, where that's going to be a whole nother show, y'all, because we're on the last 1 minute. We've run out of time, as usual. But luckily, hey, we're on next week. So
you guys are back next week.
Yeah,
we're
back.
Have a good chance to review what happened tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Are you guys going to invite me back for that? Because then we get to talk about the primary. About the general election. And
we are inviting Mr. Eric Payne back for next week. That can give us some insight. And Mel, if he's not fishing, we'd love for you.
No, I got to go to the meeting. Remember?
Oh, that's right. The meeting. He's got to be at the meeting. Someone's got to be at the meeting.
Oh, that is nice.
Yeah. But meanwhile, stay tuned next week. We're always on 8 to 10 p.m. every Monday. Thank you for listening to Valley Black Talk Radio.
Let loving never cease.